Greetings all, this is Hairy Nick. How is everyone out there going? It's time once again to talk about some new X-Wing news because we have some more pilots revealed for the Republic Z95 Headhunter. And yes, I know, once again I'm a few days late to spoiling all of this. I've been working on this new place, hope you like it, playing around with the lighting setup. Hope you like the nice mood I'm going for here. It's been a lot of fun, but it's definitely time we spoke about the Z95 pilots. So I don't want to spend a whole heap of time on these today. Honestly, in terms of excitement level, there's not really much to talk about here. The Z95 pilots, they don't often mean much in this game. This is the third faction to get this ship, and frankly, having a nice cheap ship is nice, but the pilot abilities rarely mean anything if ever. It is, however, worth pointing out the relevance specifically of 2-point pilots currently moving forward in the new AMG 2.5 X-Wing. And I think it's worth speculating on each of these three named pilots here, whether or not they will fall into that category. Because honestly, having a 2-point pilot is just relevant by default, because it may just get slapped into lists. Whether or not that's already as good as other 2-point pilots in the faction, yada yada yada. In terms of meta play, that's sort of like the more interesting thing that I think it's actually worth talking about with these. Without any further ado, let's go through these pilots, starting with the lowest initiative in Killer. And I think potentially the most interesting. Initiative 2, while you perform an attack, if the defender has 2 or fewer hull remaining, you may roll 1 additional attack die. If you do, gain a deplete token after rolling attack dice. And I think at that point, after you've rolled an extra attack dice, I think Killer's sort of done his job, and getting that deplete token is kind of not really a downside. So I kind of want to evaluate this card as basically just focusing on that first bit. How realistic is it to get that extra attack dice off consistently? And I don't know that it is necessarily. Look, if you manage to do it 2 times in a round, great. I don't really think you can bank on that. But if this pilot's relatively cheap, maybe a 3-point pilot, and we can put ordnance on it, it's interesting. Being Initiative 2 is actually a benefit to a pilot like this, as in lower initiative. Getting to shoot later or even potentially last during the attack phase means that your opponent's ships theoretically are more likely to have less hulls, so that's a positive, I suppose. I don't know, it seems a little janky, it seems a little inconsistent, but it can also spike out a game, so that's kind of cool. And also, just regarding what I was talking about before, could potentially fall into that 2-point category. I don't think it's going to be 2 points with enough extra points to take ordnance. Maybe it would just be 2 points without any upgrades. I mean, this pilot feels like it's very dependent on what happens with the points and the upgrades. So, in terms of overall power level, not much to say. But in terms of design, it's interesting. It's interesting. I just don't think it's amazing. Let us move along to our next pilot here in Drift. While a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 performs an attack, if you have exactly 1 non-lock red token or exactly 1 orange token, that ship may re-roll 1 attack die. Which is cool because Drift also gets that benefit just for doing a barrel roll. Which seems pretty cool. Now, this kind of design right here is more what I'm thinking. We've seen on the Scum faction in the Drusalark, you can have a relevant pilot ability that occasionally gets you more attack dice for 2 points. And this ship is a lower initiative, but it has versatile frames, so you could make the argument that that balances itself out. Maybe this is going to be the 2-point pilot. It probably wouldn't be able to take ordnance if it were 2 points. It doesn't say primary attack, so if it is worth more and it has ordnance, that's also something to think about. But then you'd have to, stress this ship out consistently in order to get the extra attack dice and still be able to shoot ordnance which is a bit awkward, unless you had a way to tractor your own ships on the Republic. Can't think of how to do that. Or you could use coordinate actions. For example, Drift uses a target lock in order to enable an ordnance to fire with this extra attack dice, and then another ship coordinates it to get that red barrel roll. It would have to be a higher initiative ship coordinating. This is hurting my head a little bit. This could go anywhere in terms of power level. It could potentially be 4 points. I can see a very heavy build on this working also, so I really don't know what to say here. other than it's interesting and I don't know what to make of it. But extra attack dice is obviously always good. Alright, finally we have Stub, Initiative 3. While you defend, if the speed of your maneuver is even, roll 1 additional defense dice. While you perform an attack, if the speed of your maneuver is odd, roll 1 additional attack die. So I'll just bring up the dial here. Obviously we have all those 2 and 3 speed maneuvers, so it's better when you're flying harder, as in you're flying faster. If you're doing a 2-speed maneuver, it's generally more defensive. I find this pilot skill annoying just from a tracking point of view, especially from your opponent's point of view. That's an annoying thing to try and keep track of. Although I guess if I was the opponent and I was flying against this ship, I'd just brute force it. I really wouldn't care about those additional die. It's another ability that can arguably consistently get extra attack die, and that's just great. Arguably more easier in this regard because you can just do 3-speed maneuvers. Although 3-speed maneuvers are very aggressive and can sort of get your ship in a bit of a jam. I like the subtitle Scrappy Flyer. It's very apt for this kind of thing. I think one of these 2 Initiative 3 ships is going to end up being, again, 2 points. It very much seems to fit that same design space as Nadrusa-like on the Scum faction. And I think that's very, very relevant. So something here out of today's reveals is going to be meta relevant. I just don't know what it is because we frankly don't have enough information. But very cool nonetheless. It's very important, really don't underestimate what a scrappy little 2-point ship that can get some extra dice off can be. It's very relevant in today's meta where having more and more ships is very, very powerful. And the way things have gone with AMG's design with this new point structure, I don't think unnamed pilots are really going to be all that relevant moving forward, unless there's a big shake-up in the next points adjustment. Apparently, according to some of the employees at AMG, there may be a points adjustment coinciding with this release, so everything I just said might go up in the air and we just don't know. I spent a lot of this video saying I don't know what's going on. I kind of like this new design space the game's moving into, and like anything that's happened, I like sort of exploring that and sort of discussing where that could possibly go. So, look, we'll see. We'll see. In the meantime, stay tuned. More X-Wing news as everything develops. There's no guarantee that we'll see more information from either the Rogue class or the Z95 Headhunter. Given the way AMG have previously spoiled things, this might be it. I might say that, and a couple of hours after this video releases, we might get some more spoilers. It seems to be what happens to me these days. But with all of that said, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for being patient with me. I'm still getting all this stuff set up. I've got this recording space now. I've got another one that needs a lot of work. If you'd like to help support the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the stuff that YouTube loves. There's also a Patreon for the channel, which I have linked down in the description. Even if you just want to donate $1 a month, it means so much. Cannot stress that point enough. Having as many people as possible in that $1 Patreon tier really does seriously help push this along. And for everyone that's already donated, I really, really do appreciate that. Alright, with all of that in mind, I'll catch you all in the next video.